total debt, not including our home,
Yep.
I would say was about 175, 180.
Wow. Okay.
If I include other, like the note, we wanted to lease the car to buy it out at the end. So
Okay.
in that 3 years, we saved up for what it was going to be to buy it out.
Oh, wow.
So really, it's about 200,000 total. We had put
Holy
solar
cow.
panels.
Hello, everyone. This is Josh Rogers with Make It a Yes podcast. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is sponsored by Greater Nashville Title Studios. And today we have Divine Stewardship, personal financial coaches, Chris Stanton and his CEO wife, Corinne Stanton. So welcome back, Chris, and thank you for coming,
Thank you for
Corinne.
having us.
And hey, look, we had such a good time last time, so we wanted to take the last episode of the evolution of Divine Stewardship, right?
Yeah.
Getting you on board, getting Corinne on board, and now helping others.
Right.
And changing careers.
Sure.
Not only changing careers, but quitting high-paying jobs to start this passion, project. And for the love of what it's done to your life and for your life and for your lives and for your family, and how you've evolved and gotten to a point where we're debt-free before the age of 40.
Right.
With massive student loans, cars, debt, house, mortgages. That's pretty massive. And then a massive brain shift, mind shift, emotional shift, family shifts, all those kind of things. I can't imagine. So that's what we talked about before. Now we definitely want to get your perspective on all that, because I was imagining myself in your shoes, or in myself in Chris's shoes, trying to get my wife on board to something this drastic. And for the people that have watched the last episode, it was a long one. We have several, but the thing about Chris, what we've learned, is he dives all in. He dives all in. So he gets this crazy epiphany driving home from bowling one night. He hears Dave Ramsey saying, "Hey, stop being slave to the lender." And then he's like, "Hey, honey, by the way, we're not going out anymore. We're not going on vacation anymore. We're going to get all this debt paid off. And, believe me, trust me, it's going to be great."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't go that approach. Though.
Yeah.
I hope,
No,
right? No.
Really? So how did it go? From your perspective?
Yeah.
From your perspective, a wife, do y'all have children at this time?
Yes.
So you have what, two, right?
You had two at
Two
that point.
and babies.
Oh, yeah.
They
two.
were only about a little over a year apart, and there was only the two girls at that point.
Yeah, and so, I can only imagine, it's like, how hard it is right now just to do this, and now you want to add something on top of it?
Yeah.
I can't imagine having two babies, then saying, by the way, we're going to have to take out less takeout, we're going to have to step it up at home, because of the finances. And I can only imagine, because everyone gets tired.
When you guys start
Yes.
talking it like that, and it's like, wow, maybe that really wasn't the greatest thing to do back then. And when you start putting it in that perspective,
Well, I didn't even think about it.
I didn't look at it that way.
Well, I'll give you the perspective
Yeah,
of
please.
where I was
Yes.
exactly that way. And when you presented it to me, in a way, it was like, whoa, don't I have enough on my plate? Because I know when he has an idea, it's all or nothing. So I'm like, this is
what
it.
I'm
This is
talking
going to
about.
change everything. So really, having the babies helped a little bit, because we were already pretty grounded at home, and
okay.
we did spend a lot more time at home.
See, there's a method to my
Right,
madness.
okay.
We did
right,
do
yeah.
a little more takeout than normal. If he had to work extra, he was at the pharmacy, and I was just, I was tired, and I just didn't have it in me. I would just make that call and be like, I'm getting sushi
Right,
for lunch.
exactly, right.
But it did come at a good time, because we weren't really our social life wasn't what it used to be.
Okay.
However, I did use our social life as the escape. And
Sure.
I did want to go out to those dinners, and to
Right.
go to those concerts our friends wanted us to go to, and to
Right.
go maybe meet up at a bar one night and hang out with all of our friends. And, that was the thing that was like the vacations, the getaways, those are all getting taken away now. But the way he approached it was a little bit more tactful. I feel like when he came to me knowing that if he came to me as, we're doing this, get on board, we need to become debt free. He knows my personality. I would have been like, whoa, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite.
Right,
so the
yeah.
way he approached me with it was, I've been listening to this guy, Dave Ramsey. He does the Financial Peace University. He set up a program of baby steps where help us get out of debt so that we can have a little bit more freedom financially. Approaching me that way was, all right, fine. What do I need to listen to? What do I need to do next? Because I knew he wasn't going to drop it.
Oh, okay.
He was not, there was no getting to drop. We had to run this through.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what do I have to do this? And I started listening. I said, don't make me do anything, but I will listen to the podcasts.
Right.
And I would listen on YouTube. He would throw it on in the background while we're cooking or putting the babies down or doing whatever. And it was just always there.
Okay.
And I didn't really have to focus on it. I could still do what I needed to do and have it in the background. I would listen to it in the car when the babies were sleeping as a little background noise for them. And I really got excited when I would hear the debt-free screams.
The moment
Really?
I
Yeah.
got her to start listening to the podcast in the car, that's when I knew, like, okay, there's hope. We can actually, we may get to the point where
She's on board.
she's on board.
Yeah. Okay.
Because me throwing it up in the house is one thing,
Sure.
but when she now is doing it on her own,
That was major. Yeah, that's pretty major.
That's the big thing.
That's really cool. Being from Nashville, Dave Ramsey's here. And I guess I started listening to him in the '90s. It's going through it. Of listening to him, going, wow, those are kind of cool concepts. Those are cool concepts. And if you've ever been debt free, there's a relief there. But however, with the magnitude of life, with 2 additional lives, and you guys are from a Catholic Italian family, so you have a big family, I would imagine, right?
Yep.
And you're up north, and so everyone does things together. And so if you start withdrawing from that's an issue. And so, talking off camera or talking earlier, you were like, hey, look, if we're doing this, I don't want all the blame to go to him. I don't want my family to be like, oh my God, what is he doing to you now?
Yeah.
there was some of that.
Sure.
There was, I don't know from family, but there were definitely some friends that
Yeah.
would, and it not just with finances, like it was with other things. So
I'd imagine.
it was the idea of like, well, that's not really you, Corinne. That's Chris talking,
Okay.
or he's done that to you, or something to that effect.
I got that a lot.
You got these ideas in your
Yeah.
head. Oh my God, just live your life already. Right? So, what's a debt-free scream? What's that?
Okay, so a debt-free scream is you go on to the Dave Ramsey, you call in.
Okay.
You go on the debt-free scream stage if you're there, or you call in, and it's
Okay.
basically where you started, what your household income was, what was your aha moment, like what was your why.
Yeah.
Biggest piece of advice you can give to other people, and then your success of like, we paid off this much in this amount of time, we are debt free, and then that like 3, 2, 1, and getting to yell either by yourself or with your spouse that you are debt free and you don't owe anything to anybody. And at first I thought, well, this is for people who make more money than us, but it's not. I saw people do debt free screams making household income of $60,000, $70,000 living in a place maybe like New York that were
Right.
able to do it. It is not how much money you make. And that was a total motivation for me of
Yeah.
like, we don't have to make $1 million a year. We just need to apply the principles and be responsible and tell our money what to do.
Well, so go through what you just mentioned to us. So imagine you're on the Dave Ramsey stage. So where did you start? From your perspective. Mm-hmm. Where did you end up? So for you that haven't seen the podcast before, we have a nuclear pharmacist, we have a dental hygienist. We're doing okay. We don't need to be debt free. Where all our bills are paid, everything's taken care of. We're pretty secure. Mm-hmm. So where did you start? And then and where did you end up? Like how much debt did you have?
So, from my perspective at that time, I could be a little off with the numbers, but what I remember was the student loans.
Yeah.
You know, my mom put me through dental hygiene school. I was very blessed that
Yeah.
she did that for me. So I came out of college not having anything. I didn't owe anything to anybody.
That's
Maybe a
awesome,
little
yeah.
credit card debt from, buying too
Yeah,
much
but that was
coffee.
for you, right? Yeah.
Hey. And so now I marry this guy who has 6 figures worth of debt.
Right.
And he's the one that said to me, like, really? I paid for your college and you marry someone with 6-figure debt? But yeah, that was the thing. It was just like that
My
payment.
wife's mother said the same thing.
Yeah, well, Italian.
Yeah.
So I, and I that was like a lot of, and I knew it was a lot of pressure for him, but
Right.
it was also like we weren't paying the minimum because then we'll be paying till we're on our deathbeds.
Right.
So we were tripling it at one point or doubling it.
Wow.
It was so. Prior to us getting married,
Mm-hmm.
I was dumping $4,000 a month.
And
Wow.
we were able to do that.
I was definitely able to do that, right? Because again, I was living at home.
Right.
We were still, we weren't married yet, so we was just still dating.
That's massive. That's great.
So I was throwing $4,000 a month just on student loans.
Okay.
And I did that consecutively until we decided to get married in the engagement. Once we got engaged, we flipped it because now we had to start saving for a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the foresight to not go into debt because of a wedding. And
Yeah.
weddings in New York could be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know if Corinne wants to say the number, but she has 2 older sisters, and they were both married prior.
Okay.
And she knows how much they paid.
Yeah. Wow.
And
right.
we had no intention of spending that much.
Okay.
And if we were going to spend that much, if we were going to spend, we wanted to be paid for it outright, meaning we
Okay.
didn't owe anybody anything.
Right.
We were very lucky, very, very lucky in how things unfolded for our wedding. We wound up being able to rent a winery on Long Island,
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
on the North Fork of Long Island, Duck Walk Winery, vineyards. And again, we got lucky with our caterer.
Okay.
And then we got lucky with the rentals, because when you rented out a winery, you have to bring everything in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Including building a kitchen in the back of the
Right.
vineyard.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we
For them
had
to cook.
we had a lot of stuff that we had to bring in. So we were on trajectory of spending just the same amount, but then got lucky because something happened with the winery. They made a deal with a restaurant, and then now stuff was available to us based on the
Okay.
contract. So needless to say, it was still high, but it was definitely less than what we had experienced from her 2 older sisters. And I'll throw the number out there of what we spent. I think it was $55K.
Wow.
Okay.
Just under. And
So-
that was with trying to stick to a 45 to 50 budget. We
Yeah.
went a little
Wow.
bit
How many
over.
people did you have?
We had 175.
Wow.
Yeah, because that was all we could have.
Sure.
Because of the winery, you can't have as many people come.
Okay. Yeah.
The caterer honestly was the most expensive. The venue was nothing.
A few $1,000s.
Couple,
Okay.
$5,000 I think was the most, with a couple other things added in. But the caterer was really where it was. And quite honestly, I did not mind spending money on good food.
Okay.
To me, the most important thing that people remember outside of the bride and groom, if they happen to remember the bride and groom, is how's the music and how was the food?
Yeah,
That's
wow.
pretty much all anybody remembers. Were they up and dancing, and was the food any good?
Okay.
So I said to myself, if the DJ, if people don't like the DJ, at least they're going to sit down and they're going to have a good meal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we already knew going into that we wanted to be debt free. So when he pulled back on sending all of that money to the student loans to kind of chop that away,
Okay.
and we redirected it to the wedding. After the wedding was over, we kind of just got mixed up with life, and then we
Yeah.
had, now we have a growing family. Now we're having children. We need
Right.
a car that can support that. And I
Right.
had
Oh, yeah. You said a
Jeep-
minivan before,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a Jeep Liberty at the time, one of
Okay.
those like
Those
real
small ones,
bouncy,
yeah,
like
that-
tiny in the back. And it wasn't, that's not how we were going to put 2 car seats in the back.
Right, right.
So we kind of like finagled the way out of that by getting the minivan and doing whatever. So it's like we wanted to do everything debt free. We're not car people.
Yeah.
We did like to go to the vineyards on like some weekends and do that
Okay.
type of thing. But now we have kids, so it's not like we're going to the vineyards
Right, exactly.
and doing wine tastings. So
Yep.
it did bring us to a point where it was easier to say no to certain things because
Definitely.
you can use the kids as an excuse.
Yes, right. Yeah, Johnny's having a bad day or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night because
Right.
she's colic. She was up all night
Yeah.
and
But she was.
cries 24/7,
We weren't,
which was the truth.
That wasn't lying there.
But the emotional part of it was I don't want people to feel like we don't want to be a part of
Right.
these dinners and these events and these birthday celebrations and these
Yes.
weekend getaways, and we did want to be a
Well,
part of it.
birthdays alone will make you broke.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly. There's always
You
a
know,
birthday.
Yeah,
always.
exactly. There's always a birthday. I
Right.
feel, sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And with
there's
our,
so many
and with,
birthdays.
you
Yeah.
mentioned it before, with our families being quite large,
Yeah.
there was a lot of
the time.
there was a lot of occasions.
Of course, yeah. A lot of birthdays, and just with the holidays
Yeah.
within itself.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take you back to the stage. All right, so you don't have to do the debt free scream, but
Okay.
but okay, so you stopped paying the student loans as much. You got through the $55,000 wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me, that's wow. That's all that was impressive. That's very impressive to
And we paid all that in cash.
for two people to pay that in cash. That's very impressive. And to go from that, so now you have two children, and now you have this obsessive husband that comes and says, Corinne, all right, can you please watch this? Can you please pay attention to this? But now you're on the Dave Ramsey stage, or you're doing the call-in. You started where, and what did you pay off? Just approximately.
Okay,
No one's
so
going to hold you to it. Yeah.
We started, I would say, total debt, not including our home.
Yep.
I would say was about 175, 180.
Wow. Okay.
If I include other like the note, we wanted to lease the car to buy it out at the end. So
Okay.
in that 3 years, we saved up for what it was going to be to buy it out.
Oh, wow.
So really, it's about 200,000 total. We had put
Holy
solar
cow.
panels on our home because
Yeah.
it made sense. The rebates from New York State were incredible, so
Okay.
it wound up paying for half of them.
Yeah, we got
but
both
we had,
state and federal credits. For
Right,
that.
and but we had still $16,000-$17,000 to pay off for that.
Right.
Then the $17,000 to pay off the rest of the vehicle, and then the student loans.
right.
So that was
so
our
almost
total.
200 grand.
Yes, and we had some investments that were not in retirement, just
Okay.
other investments that we had that we cashed out, and
Right.
then we kind of like front loaded paying it off. So that was a big chunk.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So he mentioned this, but it didn't hit me till now.
Mm-hmm.
That not only are you're changing your lifestyle, but now you're taking your security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the program is wild. That's why when we finally decided to do it, including stop saving.
Well, but stop saving is one point.
The program,
But taking what we already
yeah,
had
Yeah.
and dumping it.
it liquidates all the way down to $1,000. That's what it does.
Well, what really it was like, now we're in, we're all in, we're doing this. So let's do it right.
Wow,
Let's do
wow,
it
wow.
fast.
The only thing we didn't touch was the 401ks. That was it. Everything else was fair game.
Well, yeah, because you would add penalties, but
Right.
whatever. But you took everything and was like, we're going for it.
Wham.
Yeah, we left ourselves with
And that
1,000.
was all, everything without the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 200 grand plus whatever the mortgage was. And I know the house here is beautiful.
I mean,
It's-
trust me, our house in New York was nothing like what this is.
yeah,
It was
and-
beautiful, but it was small.
Right. And so now you have, a pretty large house in a good area that's paid off. Very very impressive. But what I'm trying to get at is the magnitude of the buy-in. Like you heard the saying about the story about the people burning the ships. And so there's a story about soldiers. They came on this, they landed. I can't remember what shore, but the leader, general, whatever, told them to burn the ships. There is no escape.
There's no way back.
There's no way back.
Right. Okay.
So you burned your ships because there was no way back. Because if you had whatever in savings and whatever in investments, and you let all that go to pay off student loans and credit card debt and things like that, you can't get that back.
No.
Especially the student loan part.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get that back. Credit cards, you can charge those up again. But student loans, you're not going to go back to school most likely, right? And you can't get cash for that. So 200 grand. How long did it take?
So with dumping whatever we had,
Okay.
plus stopping our contributions to the 401ks, which was a big deal.
Wow.
Stopping, not taking from, just stopping them like temporarily, which
Yeah,
put a flame definitely for sure.
Right.
It took us about 8 or 9 months, and then we had completely cleared up any debt. We still had the lease for the minivan that we wouldn't have to owe until the end of that 3 years. So we paid off everything except that what that note
Okay,
would have been for
right.
the minivan. And then as we were done with that, then we were piling up cash to be able to say, here, now the car is mine at the end
Right.
of those 3 years. So, but all in all, with just paying off everything that was due up to that point, it was about 8 or 9 months. And then you started contributing to the 401k again. And then we started building up a bigger emergency fund.
Okay, so 2 questions. If you had to do it all over again, would you do anything different? And was it worth it, right? And then the next thing is that to take it to a different level, what if you can't finish in 8 months? What if it's going to take you 2 or 3 years?
So if it's going to...
Because you had y'all had light at the end of the tunnel. What if someone's out there and they don't have the light at the end of the tunnel?
I would say there's always light.
Okay.
Whether you can see it right now is a different question.
Okay.
But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. That's the biggest thing to take away. There is always hope.
Yeah.
There is
yeah.
always hope. What I think people need to understand before we even get into the question of, whether it's worth it or would we do anything different, the idea is you don't know what you don't know at first, okay? So you need to first try to figure out and get some clarity and understanding and figuring out where you are, but also you need to view people like us, in a sense, and others that have kind of gone and did that experience. Because your question is very, very telling. It's very important because people may not understand that there is hope. There is always that light.
Well, so I remember, now knowing you off camera, you had someone to turn to.
Right.
So you call him a mentor. So
during Dave, it was the program.
Okay.
Okay, that was the initial. But before we even got there, I would say, would we do anything different? I think that's a very tough question to answer.
Okay.
Simply because we didn't know anything else.
Sure.
Right. Once I had heard Dave, I went with Dave. I didn't bother to really search around too much for other methods.
Okay.
And if I did, my mind at that time was there's too many moving parts, because I also like simplicity.
Yeah.
I like things to be simple.
Right.
At least at that time. And I knew that the more simple it was, the easier the buy-in would be also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because
Okay.
if there's too many revolving doors or levers, it's going to be too much. And you mentioned it quite aptly. You have 2 kids. I got my wife, and she's taking care of the kids, taking care of the family, and all this other stuff, the home. If I'm putting more work on it, especially now talking about money, it's going to make the process even more difficult.
Yeah. Right.
Dave's program is simple. It's very basic. Tough, but simple.
Right.
And that was the best approach for us at that time. At least I felt that way. So I would say, from my perspective, would I do things differently? I don't. That's tough because I don't know. At that time, that seemed to be the best.
Right.
Knowing what we know now, I would probably not be so set on having to do the cash envelopes. I know that we can be trusted. We can trust ourselves with the credit. We might as well get the rewards out of it as we're on our way.
Okay.
Because we did use the cash envelope system for a really long time. But I love like the organizing and like the envelope
Right,
for each
okay.
thing. Like that's my jam. I like pen and paper budget. Like that was it.
Really? Okay.
I enjoyed the process, but for someone who doesn't enjoy that, like back to the basics, like cash and all this and everything comes out of my account, it's harder to do it that way. So in retrospect, knowing that we could be trusted with our credit and not overspending, I would do that differently. But other than that, I don't think I would do anything else differently.
Thank you. That's a great point, what you just brought up. Because Dave's all or nothing approach is not for everyone, right? And there are certain individuals that can have that, lack of better words, the abstinence